Then he said to Ram,
"Look at this Vanara army. Thousands of men of wondrous strength are yours to command. They are willing and able to do you all the service you demand. Consider this huge army as your own, and bid them to do whatever you wish."
Ram, beside himself with joy, embraced Sugriv. He said, "First we should find out whether Sita is alive, and if so, where she is. Next we should know Ravan's whereabouts. Then we shall do what needs to be done. But it is for you, not for me or Lakshman, to command this army. You are their king. Besides, you know best what needs to be done and how to do it. Blessed am I to have a friend like you and a brother like Lakshman." Then Sugriv issued stringent orders to his commanders at once to send divisions of the army to the four quarters of the earth and to make a thorough search for Sita. After sending away the other leaders, Sugriv took Hanuman aside and told him,
"Son of the wind god, possessing the strength and splendor of your father, you alone can succeed in this task. You have strength, courage, and intelligence, and on you I rely to take up and discharge this responsibility of discovering Sita."
Ram too felt that Hanuman's efforts would be crowned with success. Whatever obstacles turned up, he felt that Hanuman would find a way of overcoming them. He gave his signet ring to Hanuman and said, "Take this ring. I am full of hope that you will discover Sita. This ring will tell her that you are my messenger. My dear Hanuman, may you bring Sita and me together again." Sugriv gave orders to his army, saying,
"Sita must somehow be discovered. No matter where she is hidden, you can and must find her. Within a month, you must return with news of her."
And the army swarmed out like ants from an anthill and spread in the four directions. Cintamani and his army proceeded northwards. Vinat went east. Sushain westwards. Hanuman, Angad, and General Tar traveled southwards. All were equally enthusiastic and equally eager to catch and kill Ravan and redeem Sita. Each group was anxious to be first to return with success. There was tumultuous rivalry. Ram inquired of Sugriv, "You described every quarter and region of the earth, like one who has seen the whole world with his own eyes. How and when did you see it all?" Sugriv replied,
"You will remember, my lord, how Vali pursued me in all directions. Wherever I went, he still pursued me, and so I had to wander over the face of the whole world. I thus had occasion to see every part of this planet. Later I learned about the spot where sage Matanga had built his ashram. If Vali had entered that region, his head would have broken into pieces by the sage's curse. I knew that he would not come to that place and could not harm me, even if he did. So there I lay, protected."
The hordes that went north, east, and west returned in a month and reported that Sita was not to be found anywhere. But Hanuman, who had gone southwards, had not yet returned. Ram, hearing this, was satisfied that the Vanaras had done their best. Hanuman and Angad entered and searched the caves and forests of the Vindhya mountains. Then they came upon a desert where a rishi was performing austerity. By his curse, it was devoid of trees and plants, of birds and beasts. Traveling further south, they saw a big demon. The cruel one, regarding the Vanara crowd as a good meal, sprang up to catch them. They thought at first that this was no other than Ravan. Angad rushed towards him and gave him a mighty blow. Unable to stand it, the demon spat blood, fell on the earth, and lay dead like a great hill. Rejoicing in the thought that Ravan was dead, the Vanars searched the forest for Sita, but there was no sign of her, and so they carried the search elsewhere. Often they would become weary of their fruitless search and sit down in blank despair. At such times, Angad, Gandhamadan, or some other leader would encourage them and make them resume the search. Many days were spent in this way, yet Sita was not to be seen, and they dreaded Sugriv's displeasure. They traveled very far southwards in their search. Passing through a desert, fainting with hunger and thirst, they saw a cave from which issued a variety of birds full of the joy of life. The gentle breeze which came out of it covered them with the pollen of lotus flowers and filled them with fragrance. The Vanars concluded, undoubtedly there was water where the birds and perfume came from. So the Vanars, forming a chain with linked hands, stepped cautiously into the dense darkness of the cave, with hearts full of hope, though too parched with thirst even to shout. At long last, all of a sudden, light appeared, and they saw a lovely grove, with streams of clear water and trees bowing under their wealth of fruit. Then they came to a city, with streets paved with jewels set in gold, and great palaces beautiful as a dream. They went along, and then they saw an aged woman, ascetic, seated on a dark skin. The Vanars trembled before the divine splendor of her face. Hanuman took courage to approach her. Bowing low before her, he said, "Salutations to you, mother. May we know who you are?" Thirsty and tired, we entered the dark cave, hoping for some water. And now that we see this deserted golden city with trees and pools, we are afraid lest this be a vain vision arising from the madness of too much sufferings. Explain this to us and remove our fears." She answered,
How did you find your way into this cave? You will have plenty of fruits and drink here. This palace was built by Maya, the architect of the demons. He learnt the art from Sukracharya. Long and happily did Maya live here, till he incurred the enmity of Indra, who killed him. Later, Indra gave this golden palace to Hema, my friend. These buildings and parks are hers. At present, she has gone to the abode of the gods. But what is your purpose in coming here? Why did you weary yourself wandering in the forests? But first eat. Yes, eat, drink, and refresh yourselves, and then tell me all about it.
This they did and were happy. Then Hanuman explained to the ascetic lady the purpose of their wandering. Ram, son of Emperor Dasarath, left his kingdom and lived in the forest with his brother and wife. Then a Rakshasa carried off Sita, the wife of Ram. The two went out searching for her. They made the acquaintance of Sugriv, the Vanar king, and became friends with him. He has sent us on this mission to search for Sita and find her for Ram. Our king fixed a time limit for us to return with a clue. We lost our way in the darkness of this cave, and the period is now over. Now we do not know what to do. Sugriv is a strict master. For failure to do his bidding within the time set, he is sure to visit us with the penalty of death. Swayamprabha was the name of the ascetic woman, and she said,
Alas, you cannot by yourselves go out of this cave. No stranger who enters it can go out of it with his life. But yours is a great mission, and I must, by my power, transport you out. Now, shut your eyes.
Accordingly, they shut their eyes. Then, all at once, they found themselves on the seashore. Looking round, they were startled to discover that it was the beginning of spring. Angad lamented, "Alas, the time set has been transgressed. If we return to Kishkinda without any clue about Sita, the king will surely punish us with death. And he hates me. It was under pressure from Ram that he agreed to make me Prince Regent, not because of love for me. Instead of going there and losing our lives, let us fast and seek death here and now." Many of his companions agreed with Angad. The Vanar General Tara said,
"I do not agree. Why should we end our lives? Let us return to the cave of the Lady Ascetic Swayamprabha and live there happily. There is everything in plenty there. Neither Sugriv nor anyone else can reach this spot. We shall spend the rest of our lives free from care."
But Hanuman said, "What unworthy talk is this? What pleasure is there in eating, drinking, and sleeping in the cave, leaving our families in faraway Kishkinda? Sugriv is a good king whom we need not fear. And if indeed Sugriv is angry with us and determined to punish us, how can this cave give us safety? Can it stand against Lakshman's rage? Will he not smash it to pieces and kill us? No, I see no benefit in Tara's counsel. Let us return and tell Sugriv the whole truth and beg for his forgiveness. This is the only way to safety." But Angad said, "I do not agree with Hanuman. Sugriv has no love or pity for me. He is sure to kill me. He is of a cruel nature. Remember how he killed my father? He does not want me to live. He will find some excuse or other for killing me. He regards me as an obstacle in his way and in that of his progeny, who but for me would inherit Kishkinda. To break a promise is nothing to him. Did he not forget his solemn pledge to Ram that he would search for and recover Sita? Was it not only for fear of Lakshman and his bow that he sent us on this search? My poor bereaved mother has succumbed to fear and accepted Sugriv's protection. She clings to life for my sake. Hearing that I am dead, she will end her life. Alas, I am miserable and do not know what to do. My death is certain if I return to Kishkinda. No, it is far better to fast to death here." He spread on the ground some kusha grass, in the manner prescribed for the vow of death, bowed to the gods and the dead, and sat facing the east, determined to die. When Angad took this vow and sat in the posture of a fast unto death, the other Vanaras cried in grief, and then resolving to fast with him and die, they also sat facing east. From a neighboring hill, Sampati, the vulture king, saw this crowd of Vanaras resigning themselves to fate. Having lost his wings and being unable to move, Sampati had been famishing for a long time. He now rejoiced, saying to himself,
"So many monkeys are going to die here together. Ha! I shall have enough food for a long while, and without any effort."
Meanwhile, the Vanaras, expecting death, were recalling the past and talking to one another, and loudly lamenting over all that had happened. They said, "Because of Kaikeyi, Dasarath died. Because of Dasarath, Ram had to dwell in the forest. Ravan carried off Sita. the heroic Jatayu lost his life in the attempt to save Sita. If the heroic bird had strength enough to continue the struggle a little longer, Ram and Lakshman would have arrived on the spot and recovered Sita. By fate did all these things happen, and the end of the tale is that we are dying here. In what curious ways does fate work? Listening to these lamentations, Sampati stared at the mention of Jatayu, who was his brother. Hearing him spoken of as dead, he naturally wished to hear the whole story. Sampati was very old. He and Jatayu were the children of Arun, the god of dawn, and brother of Garud, Lord Vishnu's eagle vehicle. Jatayu and Sampati in their youth competed with each other as to who could fly higher. As they approached the sun, the heat became intolerable, and Jatayu was about to be burned up. But Sampati spread his wings and protected his brother from the fury of the sun. Jatayu was saved, but Sampati's wings were burned off. Unable to fly, he fell down on a hill. Since then, he could not move, but stayed in the same place, ever hungry for food and just alive. He now asked in agony,
"Who brings sad news of my dear brother Jatayu?" "O wanderers, is beloved Jatayu dead indeed? Why did Ram, son of King Dasarath, go to the forest? Why did he lose his wife? Was Jatayu killed by Ravan? Tell me all."
The Vanneras had resolved to end their lives. The wingless old vulture had desired to make an easy meal of them, but now things turned out otherwise. The Vanneras got up, went to Sampati, and gently led him down from the hill. Then they talked and exchanged information. Sampati recounted his story. Angad related all that had happened in Kishkinda, and asked old Sampati how Ram could be helped. Sampati was old and weak, but his eyes had not lost their keenness. He could see things very far off. He could see Sita captive in Lanka, and described in detail the wealth of Ravan's kingdom. He saw and described how Sita sat surrounded by female demons in Lanka. The Vanneras became wild with joy. They jumped about saying, "Now we know where Sita is. There is no need for us to die. Ram's purpose will be achieved." Sampati's troubles were also over. The boon he had received, that when he would help Ram, he would get back his wings, came true. And even as they were talking, young feathers began to spring and grow on his sides. Sampati now shone with fresh beauty, and he found satisfaction in performing the funeral ceremony of Jatayu.